quote. So I'll just bring up the quote itself because I want to get your thoughts on this quote from Sark. And then Mario, I talked to him yesterday, full transcripts available on CanesInSight, and he responded directly. I want to get to these comments and see your thoughts. So Sarkisian of 3-loss Texas was, making his case. And he said, is it about beating good teams, blah, 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 or is it don't play good teams? I guess he missed the Notre Dame game. Put up a bunch of yards, put up a bunch of points and make it look good. Throw fade route touchdowns with 38 seconds to go in your head, 31-7, so that the score looks better. So is the committee really watching the games? They're just looking at the stat sheet at the end of the game to say, oh, well, they won by this many points. They must have played really good. So Mario responded to that. I asked him about it directly, and I'm gonna pull up his response because I thought he handled it very well. Took multiple, I'll say shots, but I'll treat them as shots. So basically, I kind of asked the question. It was a leading question about Sarkisian and how his team couldn't block Florida. And here's what he said. He goes, I heard that reference earlier today, but I get it. Everybody's trying to posture themselves for their programs, and I get it. But there's the fact of a common opponent between us and that particular coach, meaning Texas playing Florida. We had the opportunity to really dominate that opponent while that opponent dominated them. So that's pretty easily put to bed. Basically just kind of disregarding it like you don't even talk. Then he also explained, which he said, we were up 31-7, and then they call a timeout, and he goes, it's not my job to stop our offense. It's not my job. Carson had thrown a pick. CJ's coming back from injury. They want to get better going forward. So we called the play. It was a great play. He goes, so that's what we did. We played Miami Hurricane football, and that's that. One more quote before I get to your response, Aman, because he took another shot at Sarkisian. And I asked him about ACC and SEC battles. And he said, Louisville really dominated Kentucky this week. Pretty sure Texas played an overtime game against them. Or was it Mississippi State? I think it was both, actually. So, a lot of
I like this. Hey, man, I like the petty Mario, man. Come on. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, like, we talking the facts, though. Like, I mean, anyone watching those games, like, they were in dogfights, man. It took a miracle. It literally took them a punt return last minute for them to beat Mississippi State. I mean, Kentucky, like, they're in a dogfight with, and we just saw Louisville boat race them. Those are all facts. You get what I'm saying? So, I mean, look, Sarkisian, I'm sure, like, Mario said, he's trying to prop up his team. They're saying and doing anything, right, to possibly get people on their side to get a hopefully at-large spot to move up 5 spots, right? I get it. But at the end of the day, like, yeah, he's right. We have a common opponent, right? Florida went up there and scored. I mean, they went to Florida. Florida hung 29 on them. Florida scored once against us. Like, it's just that right there just kind of ends that whole possibility of them possibly even jumping us or getting in, because we do have those common opponents. Same thing with Alabama. They got boat race versus FSU, and we physically impose our will against FSU, which is, by the way, an arch rival, right? I mean, so hey, I like where we're doing. I do think, like, I like when you see our coach, like, speak up and, like, actually kind of, not saying he hasn't, that's not what I'm saying, but I like this, how we're trying to kill the narratives, because sometimes you let a narrative go long enough and you don't speak up, it becomes true, and that's just what it is. So I like that we're kind of dropping, like, the actual facts and data to back up what we're saying, because we're not just sitting here saying, oh, like, we want credit for the Notre Dame, win or whatever. Like, no, we've shown you that we not only have that head-to-head, we've also have beaten common opponents to whatever team you want to put us against that's within our 2-10 like margins. We have common opponents. We've played opponents. Like, you can pull up the data, and you can just not go off of, oh, I just think Notre Dame or whatever team's just better. Like, I just think they're better. Like, but they haven't proved that. They haven't beat us head up. They haven't beat common opponents by more. What more data do you want to look at besides just saying, oh, this is just what I feel?
Yeah.
It's Adam Levine.
Yeah, he also, Mario talked about the FSU Alabama game too, which that's like, that doesn't even exist, which is that FSU just completely boat raced Alabama. Pete, I was going to ask you, what you think, because the SEC glut, and we're going to Mazda, it's like, who do you think should be left out of this SEC? I mean, do you think 5 SEC teams, forgetting the Miami Notre Dame question, you think 5 SEC teams?
I mean, I don't think that's a lot of teams. I think they're all really good teams, though. I don't, like, that's my thing, is that like I believe Vanderbilt's a good team, for
Yeah,
example.
no,
That's
good.
what I was talking about. And this is what I said yesterday, is that it's not the same Alabama and Georgia at the top, or LSU, right? Give them a few years, they might be there. But the depth of the conference is good, man.
Oh no, it's the best conference.
There's a couple bad teams at the bottom here. I think it's a darn good conference still. I have a tough time saying that again, people take me giving compliments to these other conferences as saying, "Oh, Miami shouldn't be in." That's not what I'm saying. I think Miami should be in. Under the way that it works, I have a tough time seeing a path that it happens right now, because they haven't had enough help, in my opinion, as I've said. Really hope it happens, but the SEC is a good. It's to me, it's still a really good conference. D. I don't think you look at any of those teams. You can say that you feel like Miami's better than them, but I don't think you look at any of those and say Miami's gonna definitely win that game. I think all of those teams have a really good shot. I think it's a 50-50 game with pretty much any of those teams.
I think it's the best conference as far as the depth. I think the top's fallen off a lot. And I would say, if you look at last year, only 3 SEC teams got in, so not 5. And of those teams, Texas, they beat Clemson. It was competitive, but they won. They really should have lost Arizona State a million times, and then they lost the next game. Tennessee, not even close against Ohio State. And who was the third team? Georgia lost to Notre Dame right away. So the 3 teams they went in did nothing. They were yelling for Alabama to make the playoff, and then Alabama goes and loses to a Michigan team, even though Alabama played all their players. So, I just think the SEC lately is the best conference because of their depth, but I don't think it's a conference that has 5 teams that are worthy of being in the playoff, because any one of those teams, yes, they could beat any team. They can also lose to any team because they're just very weak in certain areas.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean,
look, go ahead.
I think SEC obviously has like good talent. Like they have some pretty good teams. Big Ten, I think, is a little lighter. I think those guys are at the top are pretty solid, and they got some pretty trash, in the bottom. So, I'm not entirely mad. I just feel like when they compare like the 10-2 team pools or whatever, like I feel like some of these SEC teams are getting lean because of like these like opponents they played that are like ranked for really no reason, like Missouri and some of these like
Tennessee
lighter teams. Got Tennessee, like some of these teams are just ranked just off the strength of logo and prestige versus like if we're calling a spade more so.
I think Oklahoma, for example, is a team that's like not as they're a good team, but their resume is like the teams they've beaten, like you said, is not. It's inflated, but this is the issue. This is the issue, though, guys, and this is the whole problem with the committee and why it's hard for me to put energy into trying to decipher this stuff. What matters? Is it when they were ranked, when they beat them? Is it what they're ranked now? Because I've heard them say both things.
Yes.
If you look at Oklahoma's schedule, when those teams were ranked, they beat a lot of good ranked teams at the time.
Yeah.
Now, what does it look or I have a very tough time deciphering what matters and what doesn't. Like, there's no consistency with any of this stuff. So
yeah,
I think Miami could beat any of these teams, but also Oklahoma could beat Miami. That defense is nasty. Like maybe you guys disagree, but
no, that's
not like a for sure win for Miami. Like some people are making it, like some Canes fans have made it seem.
But they remind me of like what people thought Notre Dame would be like coming into the game one, how they figured like pretty much, defense, like offensively, we won't be able to do much. And I think we do got enough weapons where if you have a defense out there long enough, and we saw it with the LSU game, like if a defense out there long enough, you're going to give up points at some point. No matter, you know what I'm saying? Like you could be the 98 Bear, whatever Bears team people bring up. Whatever, I don't even know.
85 Bears, man.
85 Bears, but if they're out there long enough, like you're eventually going to, like you're human, you're eventually going to give up something. So I think that's where I'm looking at Oklahoma and I'm looking at the eye test and what they used against us last year, where we had a great offense, number one offense, and no defense. Like they have an elite defense, but no offense. They don't have a pulse. And their quarterback is literally like half whatever. So it's like is that failing the eye test, or you're going to say that they got those like they got those like key victories by small margins, but a win is a win. You know what I'm saying? But then they turn around and like don't want to give us credit for like our good wins. You get what I'm saying? They only bring up our bad losses.
Well, and like the Michigan is a win for Oklahoma, but that was Bryce Underwood's second start. You know, it was a road game. Michigan's way better now than they were at that time, I would say. I mean, you could, if you're a Notre Dame fan, you could probably make that same argument. I know we're not supposed to say that out loud on the show, but you know, that was CJ Carr's first start. So I think it's just like, what do they choose to make? What do they want to choose as something that matters and as it doesn't? And at the end of the day, it just seems like they pick and choose what they want to make it fit the narrative that they've decided already in their head.
And that's a problem I have, because I think a lot of other like, you know, media guys have said it. Like, I feel like there's no real like black and white, like clear direction, and like it's consistent. Like, I feel like it's a lot of human like bias where they want their argument to be correct, so they move the goalposts for different arguments based on the teams they're trying to critique. Like, Miami is under a different criteria versus Oklahoma. Then you got BYU, they're under a different one. Like, it's all like changing based on what team is presented in front of them. Like, and I just think it should be like 5 different reasonings, and you just go off the 5 different reasonings, and that's your answer. Like, that's black and white, not, you know what I'm saying? Like, not, oh, like Miami lost, bro. We lost, you know, we lost these games last month. Like, people keep bringing it up as if it just like took place 2 weeks ago. Like, there's been 4 football games since the last loss. So it's like, when, like, is there like a cutoff? Like, when does it not matter? When can you say we have improved and been consistent? Like, how many games do you have to win to be consistent? Because I can tell you Oklahoma has won 4 straight. They give them credit for that.
And they lost around the same time of year. I mean, they lost 2 and 3 weeks, just like Miami. I think the only difference is your losses, if you're Oklahoma, were to Texas, who at that time was, you know, still highly ranked, and then Ole Miss. So the problem is Miami getting knocked down, I think, so far at the time compared to what Oklahoma did.
Pete, I'm looking at it right now. Georgia has been on an 8-game win streak. Notre Dame is on 10. Pretty much everybody else is literally at 5 and 4, like wins in a row. Like, I'm talking about within the top 12. Obviously, the teams at the top, like Indiana is obviously 12 weeks. Ohio State 12 day, obviously undefeated. But every other team is essentially like has dropped a game around the same time and has been consistently winning since the last L. But somehow, like, we're the only team that the L gets brought up, like, to like hurt our like conversation. You know what I'm saying? Like, why is that? Oh, it's Miami. It's the narrative of they're going to be the same old Miami. And then when we didn't do it, like, now they like are confused and they have to sit there and come up. Now, I promise you, I'm really curious to see what excuse they come up with now.
Yeah, they'll be on the hot seat. So the good news is we gave them a lot more to have to talk about and answer to.